You know, I've got a little bit of a problem here tonight, or today. It started this afternoon, I guess. Yeah, I had my speech memorized. I forgot it. I came in and I met a few hundred or 300 of George's closest friends that came on the bus from Upton. So they all got me cornered out here. A couple of them got me in a bathroom. And they said, look, get up there and give it to them. I said, this is not a roast. You're supposed to get up here and say some nice things about Gentleman George. So as you can see, you know, I didn't prepare for that, but George, the next time they roast you, I told all of your friends out there that I will prepare for that and I will be one of the roastees. So you can prepare for that. Today won't be the day, George. It looks like a nice crowd out here. I couldn't tell them everything I know about you. It wouldn't be right. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here today to induct one of New England's finest race drivers, but also one of my best friends. But before I start, I'd like to thank Al Feeney and all the people that work at NEAR, Mike Joy for graciously entertaining us for 3 years, and all the folks that work very hard at putting this together. It's a great thing for race drivers, track owners, crew members. You know, like somebody said up here, sometimes after you leave and they don't watch you win in races anymore, they forget about you. Things like this here brings us old guys back, and I think they deserve a hand. In 1968, when I came to Seekonk, I said, who's the guy to beat here? And they said, George Summers. So I said, okay. I go out, I follow him. We spend many laps in practice going around the bottom of the racetrack, and I said, holy crap, if I'm going to beat this guy, all I got to do is go around him. But that wasn't as easy as it looked, because many of you out here got on the outside of him. And that was a tough chore. George would let you get up there, but then that was it. Then the right rear would come this way. Then it was in the Nerf bar. Then it was in the door. And you'd look down and he'd have his head out the window, and he'd be still kicking up the dirt down there. So George gave me a little training at Seekonk. He taught me how to get around that place. A lot of his car owners said, George, you know, you're not running a driving school for this young kid. He says, yeah, but I think he can be pretty good. I'm going to help him. Well, the next 5 years, I became track champion at Seekonk. So his help was very good. So George was very gracious in escorting me to Stafford. He says, let me get you hooked up over there. And he says, you can race at that racetrack. He said, there's a lot of guys you can run against over there. So George was very gracious and helped me get to Stafford, meet some very nice people, begin my career in NASCAR, which was a great beginning to a great career in racing and in people. So George, I thank you for that. After a few years, I left, started racing Thompson, Stafford. My buddy comes to Thompson, and George comes over and he says, you know, you run pretty good here, could you help me? I said, sure, George, everything you've done for me. So I spent some time with him in practice, show him how to pass. Feature starts, I'm in the back, he's in the front. And I get clear through the traffic, and I look up there, and there's that 21. He's got me by a straightaway. I said, holy crap, he's really running good. He took the lessons real good. So we're going down the backstretch, 2 laps to go. I catch George, and somebody blows up. Big cloud of smoke. So by the time I got to him, I had no brakes left. I was driving for Bobby Judkins, who doesn't put brakes on cars. And of course, Art Barry, he's got brakes off a 727 on this thing. So I see the smoke, and I see the back of the 21 go up, and I said, oh shit, look at this wreck. I hit him, spin him around, goes in the infield. So he's sitting there, and I go around the racetrack again. I come down the backstretch, and the mud and the dirt's flying, smoke everywhere. And I go by, and I go, he goes like this. My buddy, he says. I think the only time he ever got mad at me. Or maybe one other time. But that was the worst, George. I figured I better tell that story before he does. Because I've heard it a number of times from him. You know, you play golf and you go in a bar and George tells a few stories. See, he's got his cheering friends back there. They know what it's like. But over 30 years of competition, he has won over 200 races, from Virginia to Maine. But the highlight of them 200 wins has to be winning the last 2 races of his career. I can only imagine what that would be like. I was not that fortunate, and many of us in here never did. But for you, George, a great feat for a great race driver. Nowadays, the competition carries over from the racetrack to the golf course. During the summer and the rest of the time, you can find George on most golf courses in New England. In the winter, you can find him at his new office, the Village Tavern in Daytona Beach. I've always known George since 1968 should be institutionalized. And now, today, he's going to be into the near Hall of Fame. Come on up, Georgie. Now I'm going to fix this mic for you, George.
Thanks, buddy. I'm glad he didn't roast me as bad as what I thought he would. Now, Ron and I have been friends since he was a young boy, and we still do. We play golf together at least once a week, and I'm really pleased and proud that he was the one that was able to put me into this Hall of Fame. I have such great good memories from racing and all the people that I met, and I'm proud to be in this, very proud to be with Leo, Bugsy, all the fellas that I raced with for many years. And actually, some of the dearest friends I have today come from racing. Arthur Barry, I drove for him for 7 years. Connie LaJoy, Bobby Smith up in Maine. Just some of the greatest people. And they are my dearest friends. And I had a wonderful career, and I'm happy to say that I actually came from Seekonk Speedway, and Mrs. Vendetti's here today. I ran there for 25 years every Saturday night. I'm happy that my family stuck behind me, let me do what I wanted to do. I enjoyed that very much, and they all went with me. And hey, here I am today, and I was very fortunate to be able to say I wanted to retire from racing, and I told Art Barry, I said, the end of the year, I'm going to hang it up. I'm going on 49, 50 years old, and I just feel like I've had enough. And I've had 31 years of great memories, so I'm going to hang it up. So we went to Maine, to Oxford Plains, and which a track I enjoyed going to very much. And we went up there, and it was a 100-lap feature, and damn if we didn't win it. And I said to my wife coming home, I said, boy, would that be nice to be able to say that I won my last race. But I said, I promised Art Barry I'd drive the the World Series at Thompson, Connecticut. So I said, I got to do it. So I went down there that day, and my son Ricky was racing, and he said, boy, Dad, I'm going to try to win today because I have the feeling you're going to win. I said, boy, that would be nice. So he went out in his race, and he ended up finishing second. It was one of the toughest races that I ever went into. People were coming over and taking pictures and talking to me. And Art said, come on, George, don't forget now, you got a damn race to run. I said, once I get in that car, Art, I said, I'll be fine. But I said, it's really a sentimental day. Well, I get in that car, and I was pumped up like a 16-year-old. I wanted to win so bad. And damned if I didn't win it. Well, I got out of that car, and I cried like a little kid. It was the nicest feeling. It really was. And, you know, then after they had a banquet for me, Ronnie had a fan club, they had a banquet for me, and damn it, 400 people didn't come to that banquet. I said, I can't imagine why they all want to come to a banquet. The people from my hometown, they all end up going down here by the busloads. And 17 years later, I get put into the Hall of Fame, and they're down here by the busloads again. So they're all my friends and fans. But I'll tell you, after being out of racing for 17 years, you know, you think it's all over with and all gone by, and then something like this shows up and you say, isn't that really great? You don't know how proud a person like myself can be up here to think 17 years later, you haven't been forgotten. And it's an awful nice feeling. I want to thank everybody for coming.